Hello and welcome to the Neurodivergent Fitness podcast.
I am Ryan Sullivan. I am neurodivergent.
I am Meaghan. I am also neurodivergent.
Also say, hi, Meaghan.
Today we're not going to talk about corn.
Yeah, today we are definitely not going to talk about corn. See, but now it's like not thinking about pink elephants.
I know, now we're going to talk about corn the whole time.
I'm going to do my best. No, we're not talking about corn.
We do promote eating food, though.
Yes. Our tip of the day is eat food, ladies and gentlemen. Ideally, real food.
And what Ryan means by that is stay away from the processed food that's in the middle of the grocery store.
That's
Go
correct.
on the outside. Just walk on the outside.
Just walk on the outside. That's all you got to do.
Get a little lap. Yep. Just go around. Just like that.
Does it look leafy? Eat that.
Does it look like it came from the earth?
Yep. Does it look like fruit? Eat that.
Yeah, eat that. Did you see the I've been seeing things that are coming up about the fruit having too much.
The fruit is making everybody fat. It's fructose. Yeah, except for they're talking about the fact that when it's fructose in like ridiculously concentrated levels. Like
I know. Yeah, also the other day I was talking to my family and I guess I made a comment to my dad that was like, apples and bananas have a lot of sugar in them. And I probably was just like fucking around. And I was like talking about this, how the fruit is making everybody fat with all the sugar. And my dad's like, you told me that had too much sugar. And I was like, great. Well,
so I would like to clear this up for everybody right now. The main thing you need to be concerned about is something called your insulin levels. And the vast majority of non-tropical fruits are in fact low or medium GI. So tropical fruits tend to be higher GI, but the vast majority of non-tropical fruits are low GI. So don't let anybody talk you out of eating strawberries because of the sugars, okay?
Yeah, there are some fruits that do have higher sugars, like you're talking about the higher GI, but they also have nutrients that come along with it.
Fun fact. One of the most prevalent sources of nutrition in ancient Egypt was the date tree. So there was an entire advanced civilization that almost entirely subsisted itself calorically on dates. Please go look at a package of dates. Dates are in fact mostly sugar. There is in fact a product called date sugar. Also, fun fact, dates are known for lowering and stabilizing blood sugar. So if an entire advanced civilization was able to support itself off of the date, and the date, in fact, is known to stabilize and lower blood sugar, but it's full of sugar, how's that possible if what everyone on the internet is saying is true?
Oh, that's right.
It just must be a slightly nuanced thing. It may not necessarily just be that all sugar is bad. You just have to use sense. And one of the ways that you use sense is you come to the understanding that a simple way of thinking about this would be fructose corn syrup, or worse yet, if fructose comes in an apple and fructose corn syrup comes from a production method, that's like taking a coca leaf and making cocaine. And then if I take that that fructose corn syrup and I concentrate it again, that's like taking cocaine and making it crack. And then basically blaming everything that happened to people on crack on apples. Yeah, follow that however you like. I'm fine with it.
Okay, so what Ryan is saying is that apples and crack, they have some kind of relation.
What I'm saying is apples are not crack. Eat an apple. Stop making people afraid of apples. Just stop, internet. Yeah. Just stop.
I know. Ultimately, what we're saying, though, is that when you extract the thing and then make it process and add extra shit to it, not good. That's not the good stuff.
Not good. We are going to get, if we're not demonetized on this video yet, we will be already, if we were ever going to make money on it, which we are highly likely not. I've said, how many times have I said cocaine? And now you're swearing. So we're effectively off the rails, everybody.
I was literally just watching live that was about how brands are starting to not favor people who swear a lot. And
no.
When I was taking an acting class, I had this one acting teacher who would swear a lot, and I started noticing I started swearing more, and I was like, why am I swearing so often? It was because of her. She would have us play this game called Shit Fuck Damn. Are you familiar with Zip Zap Zop?
Neither of these, I'm more familiar with the second one than the first one.
So Zip Zap Zop is a very typical acting game. And so you
Sure.
would you pass the energy, and the idea is that you're constantly moving the energy from person to person. So you look at somebody and you go, you don't have to do that motion, but you look at them and say zip, and the next person zap, the next person zap, zip zap, what. But then she changed it to shit fuck damn. And so it actually was a really good way to get people out of their shells, because people would you have to commit to that.
Commit to it every day. I am a professional. Ask anybody that knows me personally. I am a sailor. So it's not.
Yeah. I realize that most of my clients and people I work with also swear, probably more than I do.
Yeah, it's how you know you're in my inner circle.
Is if you start swearing.
Yeah, yeah. It's how you know you're in my inner circle. If I am just dropping bombs everywhere, that's what I sound like on the inside of my head.
Yeah. And it comes out. Okay, so we're gonna talk about not literally anything that we've spoken about so far yet.
Nope, this is the longest intro ever.
So we thought it would be interesting to bring up the presidential fitness test that has been coming up in popular news about bringing it back. I don't think it's actually brought back for certain yet, but it is
Okay.
on the table. I don't think it's
All
actually
right.
there yet. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I don't know. I didn't know anything about this. I don't watch the news right now, so I'm only involved in the things that are personally affecting me because I'm not learning about them through the news. I'm learning about them personally,
That's how
as
Ryan
I'm
and I
sure
had a whole
many Americans are
conversation.
experiencing.
That is accurate.
Yeah, I think we're all being affected in one way or another personally, and that is definitely a way to find out.
And if you're not, then live that up.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
that.
If it's not affecting you personally, enjoy.
Yeah, enjoy for the next year, maybe if you have that. Okay.
So
Okay.
So the presidential fitness exam. So what was super funny about this was when Megan brought this up as a topic, I was like, you know what that's for, right? And
And I
she
said
was like,
no.
right. So,
Well, actually, I made up a bunch of smart ass comments in
well, and
response.
to be fair, you're not wrong.
Yeah. I
There
said
is
bullying.
there is plenty of shaming and bullying around, or at least historically around that. But to be fair, my understanding of the presidential fitness exam from my childhood, and I am old enough to remind everybody that I walk with a cane, and I am in fact ancient.
He does not have a
That
cane.
I don't have a cane.
Back problems? Yes.
Yeah,
Cane? No.
plenty of those. But my understanding of the presidential fitness exam when I was young was that it was essentially preparatory to make sure that we had an able-bodied, essentially stable of potential soldiers. So the idea is that the average American's fitness and health reaches a certain standard so that if we ever need to call on a number of soldiers, that development is done before they hit basic training and they can take it from there. That's essentially the idea. And the PR on it is, well, no, it's about the health and development and well-being of the population. My favorite was in the description that we read, the strength of the population. And that's Cold War terminology for we got soldiers. Um so so the presidential fitness, and I think what we found was that the history of it was implemented in 1966 by
Yep.
Lyndon B. Johnson, if I am correct.
Yep.
And then before that, uh, it was really quite different.
Yeah.
We did not have a problem with quote fitness in America because most people don't know this because when you watch movies today, you see Henry Cavill being a World War II hero, and Henry Cavill's massive. The average soldier in World War II is between 145 and 155 pounds.
That's
The
me,
average
people.
American soldier was a 155-pound man.
Well, I'm not a man, but yeah.
But that also, you have to remember, they were also raised during the Great Depression. And so nutrition was a primary issue at the beginning of the 20th century in industrialized America. Nutrition was a major, major issue. And so one of the reasons we did so well in World War II was most of these kids were agrarian. They could all drive tractors, which turns out tanks drove a lot like tractors, and most of them could shoot in a straight line because they were really, really good at hunting from needing to hunt food for their families during the Depression. So we had a lot of able-bodied agrarian kids that were capable of handling large machinery and shooting well. And it was one of the reasons that the American soldier was extremely effective, although by today's standards, we would view them as being quite small physically.
Because they're not trying to hypertrophy.
Yeah, that's not their thing. But to be fair, the world's a different place now, and nutrition's vastly improved, almost to a fault. And
Yeah.
I would say the average American today is probably a few inches taller than that time period, and probably 10 to 20 pounds heavier, even
Yeah.
in a healthy way.
Yeah, even yeah.
Yeah, physically, we're just a lot more developed than that time period. The attitude towards nutrition and activity are extremely different. Back then, we would have considered what they did mostly functional in nature.
Yeah. Because of all the calisthenics that are involved, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and actually at that period of time, calisthenics were really popular, like just in general as a fitness methodology. And you have to remember the first bodybuilding competition was held in the early 90s. So it's not that physical culture wasn't well
Part
known
of it.
and well practiced. In fact, the Detroit Athletic Center goes all the way back to, I believe, 1909.
Really?
I think. Let me double check, but I
Yeah.
think that's right.
It says that physical fitness testing in schools began in the early 1900s.
Yeah, that would be correct. Oh, sorry, no. Detroit Athletic Club was established in 1887 as the Center for
Oh,
Amateur
wow.
Athletics, but was reborn in 1913 by prominent auto and industrial leaders. And they actually used Eugene Sandow's dumbbell method for snipe shooting.
I
There was
mean,
this big thing. So in the early 20th century, there was this huge desire to use dumbbells, specifically what's called the 5-pound dumbbell program. Google it. It's by Eugene Sandow. The 5-pound dumbbell program was utilized by people that shot competitively for shoulder stability and ability.
were you
They
doing
wanted,
things like
no, no,
this?
no, no, shooting, like rifle shooting,
Yeah, that's not how you shoot a rifle.
like a bow and
Just kidding.
arrow. But so that was you can, yeah, the Eugene Sandow. If you go on my YouTube, I got a whole thing on all this.
Okay, maybe I'll figure out how to link it into our description.
Yeah, the history
5 pound
of
dumbbell.
physical culture in America. But physical culture before bodybuilding was about strength, it was about athleticism, and it was about whole body movements that were, common: hoisting, throwing, carrying, that sort of thing. Even
Sounds
down
similar to
to,
someone's.
yeah, right, exactly. Plug, but like rope climbing and ladder climbing were common forms of fitness at that time.
Okay, so I looked up what the fitness testing were in schools in 1900, and it says tests often include height and weight measurements to track physical development,
Yep.
grip strength tests,
Yep.
lung capacity tests,
Mm-hmm.
flexibility checks, calisthenic endurance, which is wild because I feel like the fitness trends that are going on right now are just like whoop, coming
Yeah,
right
just a
back.
complete, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. No, we're definitely coming right around back to that. Well, and it's because we're definitely coming back around to health. We're not in a maximalist phase right now.
Yeah.
That's why, remember we did our episode on the future of, we talked about the history of physical culture, and then we talked about, well, what do you think the future of it is? And I was like, fitness minimalism.
Oh yeah. I said I don't know.
Yeah, you said, I don't know. And I was like,
I don't know.
fitness minimalism, because people want people want to be able to work it. They don't want to drive an hour to the gym to spend an hour at the gym to drive an hour back. Like, people don't have enough time for that. They don't want to do that crap.
Did I tell you I had a conversation with somebody? I was at this business education networking thing, and I was talking to somebody who was like, "Oh yeah, I've been trying to get in the gym," and I was talking about how like a lot of the people I work with are not people who typically want to go to the gym. And she was like, "Who doesn't want to go to the gym?" And I was like, "Let me tell you." People who have chronic illnesses, people who don't have access to transportation, people who are not close to the gym, people who don't want to be around men. A lot of women don't want to be around men, people who just feel uncomfortable with their bodies, people who don't have time to get to the gym, people who like so many people, so
Yeah,
many people.
like literally, according to statistics that I've seen through Anytime Fitness, 50% of the population, like
People.
easily 50% of the population, if they ever stepped in a gym, they never walked back in it again.
Never back.
That was the end of that.
One and done.
And
Bang.
for a lot of us, it was this experience with fitness in school really turned us off. Like the competitive nature
Yeah.
of fitness in school really turned us off to group fitness or
Mhm.
group activities and things like that because they often came with socially, not very socially supportive, what would be the word I would use? Rituals.
Nurturing, not
Yeah.
nurturing.
Yeah, not exactly supportive, nurturing environments.
Yeah. No. Let's go. Okay, you want to go through what the fitness test was?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have curl ups, which is just sit ups.
Yeah, that's a sit up,
Max,
everybody.
it's a max in 1 minute. Okay, boys age 14 needed 47, and
And
then
these are
girls
full
age,
sit-ups where somebody holds your feet. Most of the time you were
yeah,
paired with somebody when you had to do that. Did you do
I
this in
remember that.
school?
I don't actually like remember, but I think I did. I
Yeah,
do think I did.
I
Wait,
definitely did.
yeah, wait. So when did it stop? Oh yeah, so 2010. Up until 2010, it was still in place. So yeah, so I did it.
Yeah, you did it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did it.
Yeah, but it was just something we did one day. Like nobody was like, today is the presidential fitness exam. Like
Yeah,
it was just something you did one day. It wasn't like,
it wasn't like let's prepare for this.
yeah,
No,
nobody was giving out medals at the end.
and our generation got a participation award. So
Oh, is that right?
I'm pretty sure I was in that.
Supposedly me too. I don't recall it that way, but
I thought it was
I grew
like
up in a pretty rural place.
that's true. Anyone's familiar with Jackson, Michigan?
Well, technically I went to Chelsea schools, but
Wow, that
Chelsea's
is
a
actually
different town
different.
today. To
It is.
tell Chelsea's a different town today than it was when I grew up here.
Just kidding.
They're very different places.
Chelsea's like
Modern Chelsea is not what it was actually really funny. We were up in the UP a couple of weeks ago.
the Upper
And
Peninsula of Michigan. Just in case people are not familiar, here's
yes,
Michigan, and there's a little extra. Wait, hold on, I can't do it. Here we go. This is what it'd be like for you. This is Upper Peninsula.
put this into perspective, it's one of the least populated places in the country. And we were up, we went to the nearest town, which was like 35 minutes away and had like 4 people in it. And we actually drove through the town and I said to my folks, because we were all there as a family vacation, and I said, this is not distinctly different from what Chelsea was like when we first moved there. And they were like, yeah, this is pretty accurate actually. And like, it's very different today than what it once was, for sure.
That is interesting. Yeah, because now it has a little downtown area.
We've got a
And
theater with a famous actor. We've
theater.
got some fancy
Oh yeah,
restaurants. We've got, my God, the number of smoked barbecue joints is kind of unreal.
it is kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's like, no, it's totally different. It's really a bed and breakfast community for people that work in Ann Arbor, essentially.
Hmm.
That's what it is now. And that's not what it was when I was a kid.
No. Okay, back to the sit-ups.
So back to the sit-ups, meaning we were more of that rural experience. So they held on to these physical. And I grew up with very, very athletic. Somebody I lived near and went to school with became a Detroit Lion. We produced a lot of athletes out of my hometown. So these types of physical standards were very much adhered to. And I remember we were all required as boys. We were all required to do weight training for 2 years.
Yeah,
We
I
all
went to
learned weight
Redford.
training. What's that? Yeah.
I went to Redford, and
Different athletics program.
I don't remember the athletic program.
Okay. It was highly emphasized in my culture.
Was it?
Yeah.
So my experience in high school, I went to Farmington, which was not Redford and not Chelsea, but I don't remember it being like overemphasized or underemphasized. It feels very like regular when I'm thinking about it. Like I know we had a weight room. I know I've been in there, but it wasn't like, which actually now that I'm thinking about it is a good sign
Yeah, they at
for
least
being.
exposed you to it. Like
They
that was
did.
a lot of the time it was a generalist education where they wanted to expose you to a lot of things. And then typically they would see what you excelled at and try to move you in the direction of, because American fitness moved toward athletics around the same
Mhm.
time that the presidential fitness examination came through.
Mhm.
And which is funny because before that it was more like field athletics. track and field, obstacle courses, rope climbing, all kinds of, calisthenics.
Mhm.
That's what fitness was like early 20th century. Late 20th century, it was presidential fitness exam, and you find a
Sports.
sport and you do that sport.
You
You
know what
do that activity.
the interesting part about sports being so emphasized is that how many times have you had a client where they're like, "Well, I just like when I was in school, I just did sports and I just like followed what they told me to do. And now that I'm not doing that, I don't know what to do." And
Right.
it's very interesting because like I think the point of the sports was not that. The point of the sport was for you to like understand athletics a little bit more. But it happens so often, especially like when you're like right out of college.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I think it came down to for us, sports is a community thing. It's a spectacle thing. And I think there was a lot of, again, this is very Cold War era thinking, but I think there was a lot of national identity tied into it. There was a lot of competition tied into it. And
Yeah.
so promoting athletics was because we were competing with the Soviets in everything, including the Olympics. And so if you promoted athletics, you would see the ones that rose to the top, you would grab those,
Yeah.
you would pull them up, you would like it was we pushed
That's
that
fair.
machine really hard,
Yeah, that's fair. What
and we
sports
still
did you
do. Now it's
play?
just very commercial.
Yeah. What sports did you play in high school?
I was a cross country runner.
Cross country runner?
Yep,
Okay.
that was it.
I played probably almost all of them. I did
I believe that.
volleyball, volleyball, soccer, dance, swimming. I was on the swim team for a year. And let me tell you how I started the season. My head did not go under the water. Okay. How they even
You just
let
struggle bust your way through it. You were just like,
they were like, you have to go under. I was like, I'm definitely afraid of that.
see, but I also grew up rowing boats, doing
Mm,
farm work, logging, digging ditches. Like it wasn't like I didn't have physical activity. We just weren't part of structured sports.
yeah, I
Like
didn't.
I started doing calisthenics on my own when between 14 and 15, and I never stopped. I didn't pick up a
I
dumbbell until I was in my 20s. Literally did body weight training. And I
see
think that's
that?
actually the way it should work. I think you should have a really good, solid calisthenic
Mhm.
base as a young person.
I would agree with that.
And again, and I learned martial arts and boxing, and I did a lot of running, and I took up parkour in my early 20s, and like I did a lot of things. Well, it
Yeah,
was the internet sensation of
it
2001.
was. Did you I used to do the videos, like the fitness videos that were on the TV. Yeah. Yeah, they were like a lot of it was like dancey, yeah, it was like that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
If I was born 20 years earlier, jazzercise, like, would be my main jam at
And
this
if you were
current
born
time.
20 years before that, you'd be walking around in a spandex thong with a headband on.
20 years. I thought and then 80s, that's a 80s thing, right?
That's the 80s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jazzercise, I'm going to put it right about 2000s. 20 years ago,
Yeah. I
2000,
guess I could
20
have
years before
done
that.
jazzercise. Yeah, that's true. Okay, so back to this test. So the next one was pull-ups or flex arm hangs, max rep or hold time. So the boys had 10 to 12 pull-ups in a row. I wonder if it's like in a row. It has to be, right?
I would
I guess like,
assume.
yeah. And then girls flexed arm hang for 30 seconds. It seems like a wide gap there. I guess like pull-ups aren't that hard for kids if they're only weigh like 90 pounds, right?
Yeah, I was going to say the thing is it's a relative strength challenge. So if you're a relatively athletic you'll notice kids can bang out pull-ups like they're breathing.
Mhm, mhm.
And the bigger
I
you
watched
get, the harder it gets.
yes.
I
I
worked with a
watched
guy
it
that was over
okay.
300 pounds, and the fact that he could do one pull-up, we were all like,
Wow.
rock on. Well, he was also one of the strongest people I've ever met. And he had excellent mobility. Like there was Josh was incredible.
That's wild. I watched like a 9-year-old do 64 pull-ups before this
Yeah,
episode.
exactly. Babies can do pull-ups.
Can they? Aw.
Yeah. Babies are totally capable of doing pull-ups. It's just a relative strength thing.
Okay. So the next one's push-ups, which is harder, I feel like, than pull-ups for kids. Did you say that? No. Max in 1 minute. I don't know what that means really. Like how many they had to actually
Do a
get.
bunch.
Do a bunch.
Do a bunch.
Okay,
And they used
shuttle
to make us
run.
do it with a
Oh yeah, go
fist.
ahead.
So what you would do is
What?
you would hold your fist on the ground like this, and you had to bump your chest against their fist, otherwise it didn't count. So you had a counter that would sit there with their fist out like this, and you would have to hit your chest.
Do they do that for girls too?
I doubt it.
I
I doubt they even do
definitely
it that way anymore, but that
yeah.
was the way they did it for boys.
I'm sure they had no regard to form in that day.
Don't arch your back. That was pretty much the one rule. Don't arch your back.
Really? I
Yeah.
love when I see guys at the gym when they're doing push-ups and they're like this fully arched back
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they're like
They're trying, man. You
they're
gotta.
trying, they are. That's true. Did I tell you about the kid that like threw out his back when I was at the gym the other day and his coaches were there and I was like, there are ice packs downstairs and the coaches are like, this is why you need to use your core. And I was like, this kid is like he was in pain for like 20 minutes.
I love that they failed to do their job.
Yes. And they're like, you guys don't even
They're like,
try.
yeah, suck it up, Buttercup.
Literally. And you could just him like walking around, you could see his anterior pelvic tilt just like
Yeah.
glaring. I was like,
Oh, yeah. I'm sure it's got to use your core,
it,
bro.
it was,
Get those
they were
hip
doing like,
flexors under control.
they were doing RDLs and guaranteed they were fucking them all up. Anyway, so that was my side note at the gym. The other day I was at the gym and then I came in, there were two people boxing each other.
You're at the Y, right?
The Y in Royal Oak, not the
Oh, in
one.
Royal Oak. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. If the one downtown, somebody would stop them.
Yeah, that would not be happening
Yeah.
downtown.
No, it was like this girl and a guy, and then the summer camp kids walked by and were like, "Beat him up! You got it!" It was very funny.
Kids are brutal, man.
They are. I mean, I was thinking it in my head when I walked in, but then the kids were like,
They say it.
They say it. Okay, then we have shuttle run, 30 feet back and forth twice.
Do you know what a shuttle run is?
Yeah, like you have to touch the ground.
Yeah, touch the
back and forth.
cone. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we do them at CrossFit. We did
Of course
them
you
at
do.
CrossFit. Okay, and then 9.1 seconds or faster. That 0.1.
Yeah, it's really key. Don't be no 0.0.
Yeah, don't be. Okay, sit and reach. Oh, this is the box one you were talking about. I didn't never do it with the box. You just have to be able to touch your toes. Essentially, is what this one.
Well,
is.
and the other one that they would do is they'd put like a piece of meter tape on the ground, and then you'd have
you
to
can
reach
touch it.
between your feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It says 8 to 11 inches past your toes. That's actually ridiculous.
I think these are like, are these the standards or standards for an award? I think for an award, it's like you got to get 20 pull-ups and you need to have like a 6-minute mile. And
Sure. I have no idea because I Googled it and then it went away.
but
Okay.
basically,
Thank you.
it's one of those things where, yeah, this all right.
Yeah. 1 mile run. Last one's a 1 mile run. 6:30 or faster or 7:30 or faster for girls.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what my 1 mile is right now.
Depends who's
Okay.
chasing me.
Depends on motivation.
Promise you, it's not sub 7 though.
It's not what?
Sub 7.
Oh,
It's not
so
under
yeah.
7-minute mile.
I don't know what mine is. I haven't even ran in a while.
There it is. These Cold War fitness concerns. 1956 Krauss-Weber study shows U.S. children lagging behind Europeans in strength and flexibility led to the creation of the Presidential Council for Youth Fitness in 1956 by Dwight D. Eisenhower.
Someone has to be putting this on the internet somewhere.
Well, yeah, that's how stuff gets in computers. I don't know if
No,
everyone's
I
aware of
mean,
that or not.
I'm
But
sorry, I meant Instagram.
Before
I
the
meant Instagram.
LLMs got here, people used to put stuff in computers,
The what?
not just get it out of them.
Wait, what? But
Before the large language models got here, people used to put things in computers, not just get it out of them. They had to be trained on something, and it was a massive amount of knowledge gathered over, I don't know, forever.
I was thinking, but like I feel like on Instagram I should have seen this is why the presidential is coming up again.
No, the reality is no, because we abstract everything. You're not going to get it's about being a strong nation. It is still about the same thing. It's about being a strong nation. Remember, one of the big things that they're pushing for is trying to increase military service.
Yeah.
And right now it's at record numbers over what it's been historically in the last, I think, decade or so. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it's something like that. Like there have been more people signing up for the military in the last 6 months than has been that way in a significant amount of time.
That's because they're promoting ICE also. You see that? The ISIS
I'm
hiring?
fairly certain it's because they pay for college and make sure that you have health care. I think that's probably got a lot more to do with it. And now people aren't ashamed to go and be in the military because they don't feel like they're going to be socially ostracized for doing it. But the reality is, I'm not against military service by any stretch of the imagination. I think for some kids, it's the best thing they can possibly do to improve their situation. It is important though to understand that it's a job. It's a job, and there's plenty of health concerns. Just
There's
put it that way. They
yes,
owe you medical attention for life. The VA should take care of you for life after serving in the military.
yes.
Those people are exposed to things you wouldn't believe.
Accurate,
So,
accurate.
but yeah, it is. I mean, we are a military nation. We've been that way for a long time, and I don't know when we stopped being that way. I don't believe we've ever stopped being that way. So it's not shocking to me that this is a big push right now, particularly given,
Everything that's going on.
yeah, just all the people, all the voices in the room. I'm going to put it that way. There's an interest in projecting a sense of strength. There's an interest in projecting strength. And one of the ways that you do that is you make sure that your population is an example of what it is you want to project.
That's fair. Yeah.
I that this is, and I'm just saying this from like growing up as a kid in the 80s. Like that's just Cold War 101, baby. Like that's
Yeah.
just what you do. If you want to make your presence felt, and America's in a position to do that. And so meaning that our population's well fed, we have access to healthcare,
I
we
was gonna
have
say, it's like I don't know if we really have access to healthcare, which
we
we
have
can talk about in
access
the
to
next
healthcare.
episode.
Right, and we will,
That,
believe me, at some
yeah,
point.
at some point, yeah.
But just like we have access to nutrition, no, we don't have a lot of kids. There are kids that are nutritionally deficient, but there's access to all kinds of empty calories.
Yeah.
I can
We do
still
have
get a
ac-
honey bun for 75 cents or a
we do
dollar.
have access to calories.
I mean,
There's
I
that.
can get a honey bun. Like if I need one, I can get one.
Okay. So if you were gonna put together a fitness test for kids in school now, like a universal fitness test that is not necessarily, or yes, not necessarily oriented towards creating a military base, what would it look like?
Well, I was actually going to do it if I wanted to have it oriented toward a
I know you
military
were.
base.
That's why I'm switching it up. Okay, you can do both if you want. You can do
You're
both.
all doing sandbag bear crawls.
You think I'm bad, everybody.
I
Okay? I
know.
know
You're all
everyone's
doing
like,
sandbag bear crawls right now.
do you know what bear crawls I have been doing is the ones where you like have you push a ball and then pull a ball. Those are my
Yeah.
favorite right
So
now.
here's the thing. What I was going to say is one of the best analoguses for a good fitness program, honest to God. There was a period, I don't know if they're still doing it, but there was a period where they did most of the Marine Corps basic training conditioning with straight up sandbags, like those old school tie together. You see them on road construction sites. They would just fill a bunch of those, and it was like front squats with sandbags, shoulder lunges with sandbags, throwing sandbags, pulling sandbags, pushing them while you bear, like carrying them, like everything. It's honest to God, in my opinion, it is one of the smartest, low-hanging fruit conditioning methodologies. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Because you got to get people strength training, right? You've got to in some form or another. And I think calisthenics are a good base, but I also think that they need some sort of functional strength. And I
Yeah.
think learning how to manipulate odd objects is hands down some of the best training in the world.
Yes.
I think I did really well at powerlifting because I had a childhood like that, honestly. I'm not a big person, and I was pretty strong for my size. And actually,
Hmm.
I was at my highest strength level when I competed at like 180. That was my strongest, best build. When I got heavier than that, my overall capacity diminished because I was too heavy.
Mm.
And when I was boxing and doing martial arts, I was pretty strong for 165. And I'm just under 5'9". So it's it's like it's reasonable to say that at that size, if I had not strength trained in my life, I would have probably been about 145. I probably put on 20 pounds of muscle through various forms of training, including barbell and dumbbell and kettlebell training. But hands down, if you want functional strength, learn how to manipulate objects. And one of the cheapest, best things you can possibly get your hands on is a sandbag.
I 100% agree with the sandbag situation. When I have clients who are at the level where they're ready for the sandbag, which is I do get like that. I'm like, "Oh, guess what we're doing today?" I have this thing that I always say fun when I'm introducing a new exercise, and I didn't realize I was
And
doing
I
this.
love the way you say it too. Can you
Yeah.
demonstrate for us,
You're like,
please?
"Okay, so we have a fun exercise."
Yeah, it's always there's always an emphasis on it. Or the best is when you drag it out, when you go, fun.
Fun. Okay, so that is usually when I know that they're not gonna like it is when I drag it out a little
Yep,
bit more.
it's
I'm
gonna be fun.
like, "This is gonna be a fun exercise."
Also, one
And
of the earliest structured forms of fitness I ever did was based on a solitary confinement program because I'm not well in the head. Where what and I used to condition my self-defense classes with this. We would do 10 burpees on one end of the floor, bear crawl to the other end of the floor, do 9 burpees on that end of the floor, bear crawl back to the other end of the floor, do 8 burpees on that end of the floor, bear crawl to the
yep,
other end of the floor,
yep,
and we would do that all the way down. So, like, my idea of functional capacity
yep.
would be about dynamic three-dimensional movement. It would be about resistance-based training without objects. It would be about good fundamental calisthenic skills. And it would also emphasize crawling and throwing. No, sorry, crawling, climbing, and throwing and carrying. Crawling, climbing, carrying, and
That workout sounds like a CrossFit workout. It's like a very
yeah,
they're like,
that's
"Let's
and
count
it
down.
was because it
Let's
was
do
no,
a pyramid."
it was that era. I mean, and that was I was like 24. Yeah, like
Mhm.
of course and again we had Doug Chapman down the street and that was the style at the time. And for a self-defense class, my theory was you need to learn how to defend yourself in a really crappy situation at your worst, not your best. Because chances are you're not going to be the one in the advantage. So you need to learn how to work your way out of a deficit. That's just the way you have to learn how to train. So if it's
Low
better than
key.
that, good for you.
Yeah. So I feel like in dance it's very similar too, where like if you come in with like your full energy, like, the way you're gonna perform is gonna be very different from you after like 2 hours of training. And
Well, yeah.
actually, sometimes your rounds will come out a lot better when you're exhausted because you're not trying to do all
Yep.
this extra shit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And in reality, in a full-blown fight, you're gassed in 30 seconds. There's nobody's breathing air at that point. You're just trying not to die. That's why everybody loves jujitsu so much, is because they get to basically they talk about lazy jujitsu, and it's just basically laying on a dude until he is exhausted because he keeps fighting. And then when he can't breathe anymore, you're just like, and you go to sleep. And like that's the
Okay,
way it
literally.
works.
So the last battle I was in, it was a 2v2. I don't know if I talked about this on the podcast yet.
Mm-mm.
It was technically not a battle, it was a sparring match that was called. This is in dance context. And it was me and my friend Teresa against two guys. And they were doing that. They were just like coming at us and like we were just like, okay, I'm just gonna let you get tired. Like just like wear yourself out until you are until I'm like, okay, my turn. And then I'd like go out for like 20, 30 seconds and I'd be like, okay, I'm good now. And then they'll do the same thing. Wear yourself out. Did you hear that? It was a motorcycle, I think.
That was a
Or
motorcycle. I was like,
something. I
what
don't
on
know.
earth?
I know. I was like, I didn't know if you could hear that. I definitely reacted.
And that's the thing is the idea was in athletics for schools was that we were going to develop, it's dynamic. It's dynamic, so therefore it's good development. But the thing is, it's not uniformly dynamic. Typically, when we look at athleticism, what we notice is it tends to be single limb dominant. So, tennis, baseball, soccer, you use one limb to perform one function. These imbalances stay with people for their lives.
Whole life.
Yeah.
Oh my
And
God.
so it's if you overdevelop, and particularly through growth spurts in that direction without good, which I think we've come around to it now.
Yeah, we're
And by the
talking
way,
about
if
it.
I got the chance, I would teach everybody to swim too. I want to point this out, is I do think swimming is one of the best forms. And I'm a terrible swimmer. Let me just be really clear publicly. I'm not great at anything, but but that's because I really try to be a generalist, and I like to do a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And at this point in my life, I'm just trying to stay healthy. So
I would like to say that for my swimming, just to update everybody on my head not being under the water, I
did you make
did
it?
get MVP of that year. Okay.
Nice. Yep.
Most imp no, MIP. Wait, the one that was improved. I
Most
got the most
improved.
improved.
So you didn't get
And I
most
did put my
valuable
head.
player.
No, not most
You
valuable.
got
I was like,
most
wait, hold
improved
on. No,
player.
no, no.
I got MVP. You got MVP. Well,
You got
goddamn.
MVP. Oh my god, no, I didn't. I
MIP.
did. MIP.
Got it. Okay.
My
Got
head
it.
did go under the
Those
water.
are two very different things.
It was accurate. Okay, and I did end up doing breaststroke with my head under the water. Mm-hmm. Yep. And I only did it for 1 year, so. Okay, anyway.
It's, think that with athleticism, the key is understanding that we've come to think of it in a paradigm of sports. We're returning to a more, not sports, but performance-oriented position. And I think that it's important to understand that there are other forms of activity, like hiking, climbing. There's a lot of, you'll notice that we don't tend to celebrate independent individual activities and individual accomplishments that aren't combat sports.
Yeah. I think we're
And
starting
golf.
to now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although, I mean, I have to say I do appreciate training people who do like to golf. I just think the sport's boring. Like,
Yeah, I don't have
the
any interest in
rotational
golf.
aspect of it and training for that. And I have a client who his back like was really irritated every time he golfs. And
Shocker.
I know, wild. And after working with him, like it doesn't hurt nearly like it used to stop him from playing. And now he's like, oh, like it's a little sore in the morning, but like not like debilitating like it was
Well,
before.
if you're only generating lateral force in one direction over and over and over again as your only form of athletic output, I can't imagine how that would mess up your back.
The way I want these sports to also use the other side is wild.
Mhm.
I'm like, can you also do the amount of swings that you do on that one side? I want you to do on the other side.
So at the first gym I worked at, and then we got to
Yeah, then we
finish
gotta
this
end.
up. But at the first gym I worked at, one of the pitching coaches, one of the older pitching coaches for the Detroit Tigers, he worked out there. I can't remember his name. I can find it out for next time. But he said that the first thing that he would do, and we're talking like back in the 60s, he said the first thing he would do with all the pitchers is he would get them to start strengthening the opposite side of their body. It was the first thing that he would do.
Is that standard?
No,
I didn't
certainly
think
not back in
so.
the 60s.
Is it now?
I mean, it probably is, but in a much more clinical way. As
Because
in, they do a lot of the same kind of training like I do, where we do a lot of contralateral, unilateral, ipsilateral training. We train via limb, not via compound movement. Like bench press. I single arm press a whole lot more than I bilaterally press. Like, I just do. So like that's my preferred form of training. That's the way I like to train. I find I get better results that way with less problems. So that's the way I choose to train. I'm not saying people shouldn't train another way. I'm just saying that's a personal choice.
I also do the same thing and I still bench press also.
But you should. And that's the thing is, if I wanted to go back to doing heavy loading and heavy development, I'd go back to bilateral lifting. But I'll be honest,
Yeah.
I've been doing this for 30 years, and part of it's just I want to do things that I find interesting, and
Same.
I'd rather do odd objects in complex ways than lift heavier. That's just
Yeah.
me. That's what I'd prefer.
Yeah. I am finding that the more and more that you do strictly barbell, like if without the balance of doing unilateral movement, that's when I see the most imbalances in my body.
Well, right, and they do stand out there. And back when I powerlifting coached, was when I started this whole process of doing all the ipsilateral, contralateral, because we were always trying to balance out. We were trying to find good accessory work to go with compound lifts that balanced out the issues they had in their compound lifts. And the only difference about the programming I do today is I've developed that library much, much more, and I just don't do the compound lifts. That's the only difference. So it's not,
Yeah.
and it's also because, and I want to get into this in another podcast, is I want to talk about
Sandbags?
neurological health. No, I want to talk about
Okay.
neurological health, and I want to talk about that because there's overtraining in athletes is a well-documented phenomenon, but overstimulation in modern 21st century Americans is not. And I think if you want to talk about health in America, that's going to be one of, we got to do it. We got to do even a
Okay.
potential multi-parter on that one, because I've been diving into this and it's nuts. It's pretty crazy because the corollaries between athletic overtraining, which is a neurological phenomenon,
Yeah.
and like what most people are experiencing as burnout today, the overlap is like 90%. The
I,
difference is they're not lifting 300 pounds.
as a personal account of both of
Yes, please
those,
tell me.
I can see how that would be the case.
Yeah, I really,
Yeah.
really want to talk about this at some point because
Maybe we should do the next episode on that. Well,
you know
have-
what we should do?
Go.
I got an idea. What we should do
Okay,
is we
wait.
should do an in-person sit-down.
Oh, we should. Yeah. Okay, but let's close this episode before we go.
Yeah, I know. But this is
Okay.
a preview for the future.
Preview for the future. Also, we want your comments about the presidential fitness test.
Yeah, for real. That we kind of talked about a little bit. You know what? We know what we do. We know what we do.
Okay. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.